You ever notice, folks, how the people running the world always seem like they couldn't run a goddamn lemonade stand without bankrupting 3 banks in the process? The higher up you go, the dumber they get. It's like stupidity is the secret handshake for leadership. You ever look at politicians? Half of them couldn't pass a high school quiz on geography. They think the capital of France is Paris Hilton. And yet somehow they're deciding wars, budgets, and whether you get to keep your house. They're not leaders. They're professional button pushers with suits that cost more than their IQ points. And don't get me started on CEOs. Oh yeah, those geniuses. They sit at the top of a 100-story skyscraper, twirling in leather chairs, and every idea they have sounds like something a drunk raccoon came up with. Let's charge people extra for the legroom that already exists. Brilliant! Real Einstein stuff right there. These are the masterminds, folks. And you know why they're in charge. Because the truly smart people don't want the job. The smart guy is at home saying, nah, I'm good. I'd rather eat leftover Chinese food in peace than argue with 12 assholes about where to bomb next week. So instead, we get the idiots, the ambitious nitwits, the morons with good haircuts and no soul. It's a giant club of stupid people, and guess what? They're running the place. Meanwhile, you're out here filling potholes with duct tape and chewing gum, and these morons are debating if the earth might be flat. Folks, we are passengers on a bus driven by a guy who can't read the road signs, but hey, at least he smiles for the camera. You ever notice, folks, that the people who end up running things are always the dumbest son of a bitches in the room? It's not an accident. It's not bad luck. It's practically the hiring process. Somewhere in the rule book of life it says, if you're smart, shut up and sit down. If you're an idiot, step right up. Here's the keys to the kingdom. The whole goddamn system runs on it. It's like stupidity isn't a flaw anymore. It's a requirement. It's like oxygen for leadership. You can't even get in the building without a certified diploma in dumbbassery. Look at the way elections work. You got a parade of nitwits lining up to prove who can say the dumbest shit with the straightest face. That's the whole game. It's not who's got the best plan for the people. It's who can smile like a toothpaste model while saying something completely insane. You think it's a coincidence we keep ending up with people who can't find their own ass with 2 hands and a GPS? No, it's the design. They want someone stupid enough to follow orders but confident enough to think it's their idea. That's the magic formula. Stupid and confident. A deadly combination, folks. And it works the same way in business. Ever see some guy in a Father Zalzin suit walking into a boardroom like he just discovered fire? He's usually the dumbest bastard in the company. Oh, the engineers, the scientists, the people who actually know how shit works. They're buried in cubicles eating tuna out of a can. Meanwhile, Mr. CEO doesn't know the difference between Wi-Fi and Windex, but he's got the corner office, the bonus check, and the nerve to tell everyone else how to do their jobs. It's like the world rewards stupidity as long as you wear it with enough arrogance. I figured this out early in life. When you're a kid in school, they start prepping you for it. Who gets to be class president? Not the smart kid. Not the quiet kid with actual ideas. No, it's the loudmouth, the ass kisser. The kid who promises free soda in the cafeteria and longer recess. That kid grows up, becomes a politician, and still does the same routine. Only difference is now the soda is tax breaks and the recess is bombing another country. And the voters, oh, they eat it up. You know why? Because most people like stupid leaders. Makes them feel better about themselves. If the guy in charge is an idiot, then your dumbass uncle at Thanksgiving suddenly doesn't seem so bad. Well, sure, Uncle Rick thinks microwave spy on us. But hell, he's still smarter than the governor. It's all relative. People don't want someone smarter than them running things because then they might have to feel bad about being stupid themselves. Nope, they want someone just as clueless, only with a tie and a microphone. Now, let's be honest here. Stupid people aren't just running the government or the corporations. They're running everything. Hospitals, schools, airlines. You ever get on a plane and see the pilot, and he looks like the kind of guy who'd get lost in a parking lot? That's who's flying you at 600 miles an hour in a tin can with wings. And you sit there smiling at the stewardess, pretending you're not praying to 6 different gods. Or the hospital. Oh, you better hope your doctor's not one of the stupid ones. But odds are he is. Half of them can barely tie their shoes without Googling it. They'll give you 6 pills for one problem, and one of those pills will cause the exact problem you started with. But don't worry, they've got another pill for that too. It's a whole chain of stupid, connected by white coats and stethoscopes and schools. Forget it, teachers are overworked and underpaid, but the people making the actual decisions about education, Pure, uncut idiots. These are the people who think kids will learn better if you cut recess, cancel art class, and give them standardized tests until their brains leak out their ears. Real visionary stuff. Meanwhile, the only thing kids are learning is how to fake their way through bubble sheets. You see, stupidity at the top isn't an accident. It's a fucking strategy. If the people in charge are stupid, it makes the whole population easier to control. Smart people ask questions, smart people resist, smart people demand better. But if the guy at the top is just another idiot clown, it lowers the bar for everyone else. It tells you, don't worry about using your brain too much. Look, the president doesn't even know where Canada is. You're fine. It's like a warm blanket of stupidity tucking the whole country in at night. And here's the kicker. Stupid people are usually the most confident. Have you noticed that? The guy who knows the least always speaks the loudest. The guy who can't explain how a toaster works is the same guy explaining how to fix the economy. Meanwhile, the smart people, the real experts, they're careful, they're cautious, they're quiet. And quiet doesn't win elections. Quiet doesn't get you promoted. Quiet doesn't sell books or fill arenas. Loud, dumb, and wrong, that's the golden ticket. That's the key to the castle. So we end up with leaders who think climate change is a hoax, vaccines are optional, and history started when they were born. We end up with mayors who can't read their own speeches, senators who can't spell their own names, and presidents who think nuclear is pronounced nuclear. These are the people steering the ship. And they've got their hands on the wheel, their foot on the gas, and no goddamn clue where they're going. But hey, at least they're smiling for the cameras, right? You want proof stupidity is the requirement. Look at the campaign ads. Not one of them ever says, vote for me, I read books, I understand science, I care about facts. No, it's always, vote for me, I'm just like you, I drink beer, I watch football, I get confused at the grocery store just like everybody else. They brag about being idiots. They don't want you to think they're smart. They want you to think they're relatable. And apparently, being relatable means being a goddamn moron. So don't kid yourself, folks. Intelligence has never been the road to power. Stupidity is the fuel, arrogance is the engine, and we're all stuck in the backseat hoping the car doesn't drive off a cliff. And guess what? It probably will. You ever notice how the people in charge of politics and business always walk around looking like they've got the answers, but as soon as they open their mouths, you realize they couldn't organize a car funeral without screwing it up. They're polished, they're dressed sharp, they've got that confident handshake and the fake smile, but deep down, you know they've got the brain power of a wet sock. They're like mannequins somebody wound up and shoved into a boardroom. These are the geniuses who run the world. Folks, the people who get paid millions of dollars to come up with ideas that sound like they were stolen from a drunk raccoon digging through a garbage can. Take politicians, for example. These bastards spend half their time raising money and the other half lying about how they raised it. They stand there in 2,000 suits telling you they understand the struggles of the working man. Yeah, sure. Nothing screams man of the people like a Harvard lawyer in Italian leather shoes pretending he knows what it's like to pick up an extra shift at the gas station. They look into the camera, they smile with their capped teeth, and they say shit that doesn't even make sense. But they say it in a way that sounds important. We're going to create synergy for the future of the American dream by leveraging community potential. What the hell does that even mean? It means nothing. It's empty calories, junk food for your brain, and people eat it up like free samples at Costco. And CEOs, Jesus Christ, these guys are a special breed of idiot. They strut around skyscrapers like they built the goddamn thing themselves. Newsflash, they didn't even build the PowerPoint slides they're presenting. Some underpaid assistant did. But they take the credit. That's what they're good at, stealing credit and dodging blame. When the company does well, it's because of their vision. When it tanks, suddenly it's the employee's fault, the market's fault, or unforeseen circumstances. Nobody ever says, yeah, I'm a greedy, clueless bastard who thought selling water in plastic bottles at $6 pop was a good long-term plan. And have you noticed how the ideas these corporate masterminds come up with always make life worse for regular people? Always, without fail. You never hear a CEO say, we're going to make our products cheaper and more reliable. No, it's always, we're going to introduce a new subscription service that charges you extra for the thing you already bought. It's stupidity dressed up in a business plan. They're like magicians pulling rabbits out of hats. Only the rabbits are always missing an ear and cost twice as much as last year. Meanwhile, the employees, the ones who actually know how to do the damn work, are sweating it out in cubicles, inventing new technologies, solving real problems, making the company run. And what do? They get free pizza on Fridays, maybe a gift card at Christmas, and a CEO who announces mass layoffs while cashing a bonus big enough to buy his own island. And he'll tell you it's for efficiency. Efficiency, my ass. It's stupidity with a suit and tie. Now, politicians and CEOs, they're basically the same animal. One's just pretending to serve you, and the other one doesn't even bother pretending. But they both share the same magical ability. They can stand on a stage, say the dumbest shit imaginable, and people will still clap for them. A politician will say, we're cutting taxes for the rich so the benefits trickle down to you. Trickle down! You know what trickles down, folks? Piss. That's what trickles down. But people cheer like they just heard the Gettysburg Address. And CEOs, they'll announce, we're moving our factories overseas to maximize shareholder value, which is business code for we're screwing you sideways. But investors clap like it's the second coming of Christ. It's almost impressive how consistently wrong they are. If you gave a politician or a CEO a compass, they'd still get lost in a hallway. If you handed them a toaster, they'd stick a fork in it. These are the people who write laws, sign treaties, and decide which countries get bombed. They're sitting on TV panels, nodding along like they're experts, and all the while you're thinking, this guy couldn't explain how a toilet works if his life depended on it. But he's got power, money, and followers, so the game keeps going. You ever notice the language they use? Politicians and CEOs both talk in these vague, corporate buzzwords that mean absolutely nothing. It's like a secret language of bullshit. Strategic initiatives, stakeholder engagement, holistic approaches, leveraging paradigms. Nobody outside their little bubble knows what the hell they're talking about. But it sounds smart enough that regular people just nod and go along with it. It's camouflage, verbal camouflage, to hide the fact that they don't have a single original thought in their heads. And here's the fun part. When they screw up, they never pay the price. A CEO runs a company into the ground. He doesn't get fired. No, he gets a golden parachute, a bonus for failure. A politician gets caught lying, cheating, maybe even breaking the law. Do they go to jail? Hell no. They retire. They get a book deal. They become a lobbyist. They sit on the board of some company they helped out. The whole thing is a carousel of stupidity. Round and round it goes. The same clowns switching costumes. And the public keeps buying tickets to the show. And what about the press conferences? Oh, those are a treat. A CEO will stand in front of a microphone and announce, we're excited to bring innovation and value to our customers. While behind him, the company is poisoning rivers and laying off half the staff. Politicians, same thing. They say, we're bringing freedom and democracy, which is code for we're dropping bombs on people who never heard of us. They stand there, puffed up with self-importance, spouting dumb ideas with absolute confidence, and people keep believing them because they're wearing a suit, and apparently that's enough. The truth is, these people are nothing more than well-dressed idiots with good PR teams. They get away with it because society worships appearances. As long as you've got the right haircut, the right smile, and a confident handshake, you can say the stupidest shit in the world and still end up in charge. You can promise to fix healthcare by cutting healthcare. You can promise to create jobs by firing half the workforce. You can promise to unite the country by pitting people against each other, and people still vote for you or buy your stock or cheer your name. It's not intelligence that gets rewarded. It's not honesty. It's not competence. No, it's the ability to bullshit with a straight face. That's the real skill. These people aren't leaders, they're salesmen. And the product they're selling is themselves, shiny on the outside, empty on the inside, and overpriced as hell. And somehow the world keeps buying. You ever notice that the smartest people you know never want to be in charge of a goddamn thing? The people with brains, the ones with common sense, the ones who can actually fix shit. They're always the ones who say, nah, I'm good. You guys go ahead and run it. I'll just be over here minding my own business. Meanwhile, the idiots. Oh, the idiots can't wait to grab the wheel. They're practically climbing over each other to get to the driver's seat, and half of them don't even know how to drive. It's like a bus full of passengers, and the guy with the engineering degree, the guy who actually knows how the engine works, says, I don't want the responsibility. So who ends up behind the wheel? The loudmouth jackass who just wants to honk the horn. That's who runs the world. You ever meet a truly smart person? They're quiet, they're careful, they don't rush into shit. They think things through. They look at a situation and say, maybe I don't want to run a country full of maniacs who argue about gas prices while the planet's on fire. They know better. They know power is just one big stress factory. Being in charge means endless meetings, nonstop ass kissing, fake smiles, and dealing with assholes every single day. Who the hell wants that? Not the smart guy. He's at home reading a book, smoking a joint, or figuring out how to fix his plumbing without blowing up the house. He's living his life. The idiots. They're at campaign rallies waving flags, screaming about freedom, and dreaming about sitting in a leather chair where everyone has to call them Mizir, president. That's what stupidity loves, titles, recognition, the illusion of importance. And let's be honest, smart people don't want power because they actually understand how fucked up it is. They know the game is rigged. They know no matter how good your intentions are, you're still going to be wrestling with lobbyists, billionaires, corporations, and an army of half-brained voters who can't tell the difference between a fact and a fart. Who in their right mind would want that job? Who wakes up and says, you know what I'd love to do? Argue with idiots 24 hours a day and get blamed for every single thing that goes wrong. Nobody smart wants that. Only the egomaniacs, the narcissists, the dumbasses who think shaking hands and kissing babies makes them a hero. It's the same in business. The smartest guy in the company, he's sitting in the basement fixing the server so the CEO can give his stupid presentation. He's not in the boardroom. He's not on the stage. He's not making speeches about innovation. He's actually doing the work. And he knows damn well if you make it to the top, all you do is babysit shareholders and pretend like you know what's going on. Smart people hate that shit. They don't want to manage human resources or streamline operations. They just want to get the job done and go home without some idiot breathing down their neck about corporate synergy. The clowns, though, they love that stuff. They eat it up. Look at me. I'm the regional manager of meaningless bullshit. They'll print it on a business card and hand it out like it's a medal of honor. Smart people also know something else. The higher up you go, the dirtier it gets. Politics, business, media, it's all one big sewage system. The water looks clean on the surface, but underneath it's just shit, lies, and cover-ups. A smart person takes one look at that and says, no thanks, I don't swim in sewage. But the idiots, oh, they dive right in, head first, no goggles, no hesitation. They don't care what they're covered in as long as they get to sit on top of the pile. That's the secret. Power doesn't attract intelligence. Power attracts cockroaches. And don't you think smart people are a little self-aware too? They know themselves. They know they've got flaws. They know they make mistakes. And that makes them hesitate. Meanwhile, the dumbasses think they're perfect. They've got blind confidence. You ever hear a smart person talk about themselves? They say things like, I'm not sure I'm qualified. Or, I need more information. That's humility. You ever hear an idiot talk about themselves? They say, I alone can fix it. They're dead wrong, but they believe it. And somehow other idiots believe it too. Confidence beats competence every time in this circus. And voters. Voters don't want smart people running things. A smart leader makes you feel stupid, makes you realize how little you know. Nobody likes that. They want a leader who's just as dumb as they are, so they can sit there on the couch and say, see, that guy's just like me. He can't spell nuclear either. It's comfort food for the masses. Smart people don't play that game. They don't pander. They don't dumb themselves down. And because of that, they never get elected. They never get promoted. And they never get put in charge. The world prefers clowns. That's why history is a long parade of idiots at the top. Kings, emperors, presidents, CEOs. Most of them were dumb as a bag of rocks, but they had the one thing that matters, the hunger for power. Smart people don't have that hunger. They don't care about sitting on a throne. They care about things like peace of mind, honesty, creativity, maybe a good sandwich once in a while. Idiots want the spotlight, the title, the power, even if it means destroying everything around them. That's why the idiots always win. They're willing to crawl through shit for it. You ever notice when a truly smart person does end up in power, they don't last long. They get chewed up and spit out by the machine. The system doesn't want competence, it wants obedience. The minute someone with brains starts asking tough questions, the lobbyists, the corporations, the media, they gang up and crush them. Meanwhile, the idiot with the good haircut gets promoted. It's a self-sustaining cycle of stupidity. The clowns hand the crown to the next clown, and the real brains are left in the shadows, shaking their heads, saying, told you so. And here's the kicker. Smart people know they'd never survive in that environment. They'd go insane. Imagine a guy who actually understands climate science trying to debate some congressman who thinks snow in winter disproves global warming. Imagine a woman who's actually read history books trying to argue foreign policy with a senator who thinks Africa is one country. They'd lose their minds in 10 minutes flat. So they don't even try. They avoid the stage entirely. And who fills the gap? The loudest jackasses in the room. So what do we end up with? A world where the people with the answers are silent and the people with the microphones are clueless. The smart guy who could actually fix the budget is fixing his lawnmower instead. The woman who could actually write a sensible law is reading bedtime stories to her kids. And the idiot who thinks microwaves spy on us, he's the one running for office. That's the state of things. The truth is intelligence is a burden. It makes you hesitate, it makes you doubt, it makes you careful. Stupidity, on the other hand, is light, easy, carefree. It charges into battle without a second thought. It waves flags, it chants slogans. It signs contracts without reading them. And the world rewards that kind of reckless confidence, even when it's dead wrong. That's why smart people stay home and the idiots march straight into the spotlight. You ever feel like the whole world is just one giant bus driven by a maniac who doesn't even have a driver's license? And we're all the passengers strapped in with duct tape, hoping we don't crash into a wall at 90 miles an hour. That's society, folks. That's the big picture. We're stuck with the idiots in charge, and there's not a damn thing we can do about it. You don't get to pick the driver. You don't get to grab the wheel. You just sit there sweating while some smiling moron barrels down the road reading directions upside down. That's the secret nobody wants to admit. Society is a hostage situation. You and me, we're the hostages. The morons, the clowns, the incompetent bastards at the top, they're the ones with the gun. They tell you, don't worry, we've got it under control. And then they accidentally shoot themselves in the foot while fumbling with the safety. And somehow they still keep the job because the rule isn't be competent. The rule is be there. Once you're in charge, it doesn't matter how badly you screw up. You stay in charge. And the rest of us just take the ride. You ever notice how we all have to live with the consequences of their stupidity? You don't get a choice. When a politician decides to start a war in some country you couldn't even find on a map, guess who pays the bill? You do. When a CEO decides to maximize shareholder value by shipping jobs overseas and cutting corners, guess who ends up unemployed and paying triple for the same shitty product? You do. And when the system collapses, when the economy tanks, when the infrastructure falls apart, guess who gets bailed out? Not you. Oh no! It's the same idiots who caused the problem in the first place. They get rescued, they get golden parachutes, and you get to watch your savings disappear like a magician's trick. That's the ride, folks. And the ticket isn't refundable. And it's not just the big stuff either. Every little detail of your life is shaped by their stupidity. The laws, the taxes, the schools, the healthcare. It's all designed by morons who don't know what the hell they're doing. You ever read some of the laws they pass? Half of them contradict each other. One law says, don't do this. And another law says, you have to do this. So no matter what you do, you're breaking the law. That's how they keep you in line. By keeping everything confusing and contradictory, so you're always guilty of something. Meanwhile, the people who wrote the laws don't even understand them. They hire lawyers to explain it to them. And those lawyers, they make more money off the confusion. It's a whole racket. And healthcare. Oh, don't get me started. These idiots design a healthcare system that costs more than anywhere else in the world, delivers worse results, and then pat themselves on the back for innovation. Innovation. The only innovation is figuring out how to charge you $300 for a Band-Aid. And when you complain, they look at you like you're the problem. Well, if you didn't want to go bankrupt, maybe you shouldn't have broken your leg. That's the world we live in. That's the ride we're on. And the driver is swerving all over the road while texting on his phone. And let's talk about infrastructure. Bridges falling apart. Roads full of potholes, trains that break down if a pigeon sneezes on them. And who's responsible? The morons in charge, of course. They'll spend billions on wars, trillions on tax breaks for billionaires, but fixing a bridge, oh no, that's too complicated. They'd rather let it collapse and then hold a press conference about how our thoughts and prayers are with the victims. Thoughts and prayers! The national currency of stupidity. You can't drive on a prayer. You can't fix a bridge with a thought, but that's all you get. And then they cut the ribbon on a new weapons program, and everyone claps like trained seals. What about education? These idiots control the schools, and then they wonder why the kids are dumber than ever. Well, maybe it's because you turned education into a business. Maybe it's because you treat teachers like babysitters and students like customers. Maybe it's because every school district is broke, but somehow there's always enough money for standardized tests that prove nothing. You don't educate kids, you train them to take tests, and then you act surprised when they graduate and can't find Canada on a map. Who designed the system? The same morons who couldn't find Canada on a map either. And the media, they're part of the ride too. They tell you what the idiots want you to hear. You don't get news, you get narratives. You don't get facts, you get entertainment with dramatic music. They'll spend 6 hours talking about some celebrity's divorce, but 2 minutes on a chemical spill that poisoned your water supply. And when they do cover it, they'll interview the same idiots who caused the spill and let them explain how it's really your fault for expecting clean water. And people believe it, because that's the ride. Folks, that's the show. Here's the real kicker. You can't get off the ride. You're born onto it. You get handed a ticket at birth, and you're strapped in whether you like it or not. You don't get to pick the driver. You don't get to pick the route. You don't get to say, hey, maybe we should slow down before we hit that cliff. No, your only job is to sit there, pay your taxes, and cheer when they tell you everything's fine. And if you don't cheer, if you complain too loudly, they throw you off the bus and run you over. That's freedom, baby. That's democracy. That's capitalism. Whatever label you want to slap on it, it's the same ride, and the same morons are always driving. And the worst part, most people don't even care. They're too busy with their own little distractions. Sports, reality TV, social media, bread and circuses, folks. Give the people a football game and a Kardashian, and they'll never notice the bus is headed straight for a wall. They don't want to think about who's in charge, because deep down, they know it's hopeless. It's easier to pretend everything's fine than admit you're trapped in a clown car with the world's dumbest circus act at the wheel. But me, I look around and I see the whole scam. The world isn't run by geniuses, it's run by fools with titles. It's not guided by wisdom, it's steered by egos. And we're all just along for the ride, whether we like it or not. The brakes don't work, the wheel is loose, and the driver's too busy practicing his smile for the next press conference. And all we can do is sit here, listen to the bullshit announcements, and try not to puke from the motion sickness. You know what nobody likes to admit? Stupid people aren't just accidentally in charge. No. The whole damn system is set up to put them there. It's like stupidity is the fuel, the blueprint, the holy scripture of the machine that runs the world. If you think the world is run badly because of mistakes, you're wrong. It's run badly on purpose. It's supposed to be this way. The machine doesn't want geniuses. It doesn't want critical thinkers. It doesn't want people who ask questions. It wants trained monkeys who can smile, wave, kiss babies, and then sign a bill they never read. Think about it. Do you really think the people behind the curtain want someone sharp? Someone with an actual conscience? Someone who might say, hey, maybe bombing that village is a bad idea. No, they want a useful idiot. Someone too dumb to ask why, too eager to say yes, too happy to take the paycheck and play the part. That's why politicians look like game show hosts. They're not leaders, they're performers. They're clowns in $5,000 suits. They're not steering the ship. They're waving from the deck while someone else sets the course. And the system makes sure of it. From the moment you're born, they're not training you to think. They're training you to obey. School doesn't teach you how to think. It teaches you how to sit down, shut up, memorize the dates of wars fought by old men you'll never meet, and then regurgitate the answers on a test. Creativity, questioning authority, that's punished. You ask too many questions, they label you a problem child. They send you to the counselor. They put you on Ritalin. Congratulations, kid. You thought for yourself, and now you're defective. So what happens? The system churns out obedient workers, people who can follow orders, punch a clock, pay their taxes, and never stop to ask why their lives feel like an endless treadmill of bills and bullshit. And from that pool of obedient little sheep, the system carefully selects the dumbest, the most compliant, the ones who smile the widest and think the least. Those are the people who rise to the top. Those are your leaders. Because here's the thing. Smart people are dangerous to the system. A smart person might notice the scam. A smart person might say, hey, wait a second. Why do we spend trillions on weapons, but can't fix the water pipes in Flint, Michigan? A smart person might ask why corporations get bailouts, but regular people get eviction notices. That's dangerous. The system doesn't want dangerous. The system wants dumb. Dumb is safe. Dumb signs the papers without reading them. Dumb does what it's told. Dumb is profitable. And it's not just politics, it's every goddamn corner of society. Look at corporations. Do you think the board of directors really wants some brilliant innovator who questions everything and shakes things up? Hell no. They want a team player. You know what team player means in corporate language? It means shut your mouth and nod when we fuck everyone else over. They don't promote the genius in the corner who actually understands how the company works. They promote the guy who plays golf, laughs at the boss's bad jokes, and agrees to fire 10,000 people because shareholder value. That's who climbs the ladder. It's all deliberate. Stupidity isn't a flaw in the system. It's the point of the system. Because the people really running things, the billionaires, the bankers, the shadowy fucks who own everything, you'll never see their faces. They're too smart to be on stage. They know the game. They know power works best when it hides behind a puppet. Why risk being exposed when you can have a smiling fool up front, distracting everyone with speeches about freedom and democracy, while you count the money in the back room? That's why elections are theater. Red team, blue team, it doesn't matter. It's the same circus. They trot out 2 or 3 morons, polish them up, feed them slogans like hope or change or make America great again, and let the people fight over which trained chimp gets to sit at the desk. And while you're arguing about which one's stupider, the people who really run the show are laughing, cashing checks, and planning the next war. And let's not kid ourselves, this isn't just America. It's everywhere. The whole planet is a stage full of clowns pretending to be leaders. You think Europe's any better? They've got their own brand of dimwits in fancy suits, sipping wine while they sign deals that screw over the little guy. The Middle East, Asia, Africa, everywhere you look, it's the same shit. Different accents, different outfits, same stupid puppets dancing for the same puppet masters. And the people eat it up. That's the best part. People love stupid leaders. You know why? Because it makes them feel better about themselves. Sure, I'm drowning in debt, my job sucks, and I live in a box apartment with mold in the walls. But hey, at least I'm not as dumb as that guy running the country. It's a psychological trick. They give you someone stupid to look at, so you feel smart in comparison. Meanwhile, you're still getting robbed blind. It's genius. Evil genius, but genius all the same. And the media. Don't even get me started on the media. They're the biggest enablers of all. You think CNN or Fox News wants a smart, articulate, thoughtful leader? Hell no. They want sound bites. They want gaffes. They want someone dumb enough to say something idiotic on live TV so they can play it on a loop for a week. Stupid sells. Stupid gets ratings. Nobody tunes in to watch a leader calmly explain policy in detail. They tune in to watch a moron stumble over the word nuclear or forget what country they're in. The media and the system are partners in crime. They sell you stupidity like it's entertainment. And you pay for it with your attention, your money, and your future. So don't tell me it's an accident. Don't tell me it's a fluke. The machine is designed to keep stupid people in charge. That's how it survives. That's how it thrives. Because the second you put someone intelligent, someone compassionate, someone honest in a position of power, guess what happens? The whole scam gets exposed. And they can't have that. They can't afford that. So instead, they keep feeding us idiots, and we keep applauding, and the machine keeps humming along. And here's the cruel irony. Even if a smart person did manage to slip through the cracks and get some power, the system would chew them up and spit them out before they could do anything useful. Because the machine isn't built for smart. It's built for stupid. It runs on stupid. It needs stupid the way a car needs gas. Without stupid, the whole engine breaks down. That's the truth, folks. The system doesn't just tolerate stupidity. It manufactures it, rewards it, and depends on it. And until people start realizing that, until people start pulling back the curtain and asking who's really in charge, we're going to keep getting the same thing over and over, another smiling idiot in a suit, waving from the stage while the real bosses count their money behind the curtain.